to burn the fire. He cut the wood. He took a donkey and 2 helpers, and he said, "Isaac, it's time for us to go." And they began to walk to the mountain. After 3 days of traveling, they could see the mountain. Abraham knew what needed to happen. He knew he needed to follow with what God said and be obedient no matter what. He loved God first. After 3 days, they saw the mountain. They built the fire. Abraham got what he needed. Abraham told his helpers to stay over there with the donkey. And he and Isaac alone went up the mountain. Isaac even carried the wood for the offering. Carried the wood himself. And Abraham carried that bowl of fire. It's just coals and fire burning, ready to make flames. And of course, Abraham carried the knife. Isaac said, "Well, Father, here is the fire, and here is the wood, but there's no animal, no lamb for the offering." Remember, the people were used to killing an animal and burning an animal as a sacrifice. Isaac didn't understand. So Abraham said, "God will provide." Then when it came time and they came to the place for the sacrifice, Abraham had to get a rope and he had to tie up his only son, Isaac. How horrible it must have felt. Well, he tied him up. When Abraham picked up the knife to do what God had told him to do, an angel came and said, "Stop. Wait, Abraham, no, you do not need to do this. Stop. Look." And Abraham looked up where the angel had pointed. And there was a ram caught in the bushes, ready to be sacrificed for God. And now Abraham knew that God had provided what he needed to show God just how much he trusted him. God had provided the sacrifice for Abraham. He didn't have to hurt his son after all. He didn't have to hurt Isaac. He could untie him. God had provided the sacrifice. So after Abraham had tied up Isaac and they walked down the mountain, the angel came again and said, "God says, I will make you the father of a great family. As many are the grains of sand in the desert and the stars of the sky, I will make you and make of you a great blessing, because you obeyed me. You followed with what I said, even though it was hard. You were obedient, even though you were afraid. I will make of you Abraham a great blessing because you obeyed me and trusted me and showed that you loved me first. Well, not much longer after that, Sarah, Abraham's beloved wife, who was very old, just like Abraham, died. She grew very old and she died. And they buried her in a cave at the end of a field near the oaks of Mamre. After Abraham had helped to find a wife for Isaac so that Isaac could have his own family, he died too and was buried in the cave beside Sarah together. Later, Isaac and his wife Rebekah, they had twins, 2 born at the same time. They were named Esau and Jacob. And the great family began to grow. And we will talk more about Esau and Jacob soon. They're an important story too. What a story this was. What an adventure, especially when they went up on top of that mountain. I wonder which part of this story was your favorite part, or maybe the most important part, in your opinion. I wonder which part of this story might be about you, or might be especially for you to learn from. Do you think that we could take anything out of this story and it still be true? Could we take out the part about the ram? Would it still be the same story? Could we take out the part about the 3 strangers? Would it still be the same story? I wonder what this story might have to do with Jesus. How might this story be part of the rescue plan? All right, so the wondering time's a little shorter, a little more open-ended, but during this worship time that they'll begin, again, it's going to be a little shorter, and so you might want to go ahead and do your candle time and read from the scripture. I would definitely recommend reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible. It's an explanation of the story of Abraham and Isaac, especially the time in which Abraham is obedient to God in the sacrifice, and in the way that he then is reconciled with his son and reconciled with God after. It's a really well-told story. Of course, it's not a direct translation, but it's a great way of imparting the story on the children. So I definitely recommend reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible for your candle time. And again, making reference more often than not, just like the Jesus Storybook Bible does, to its inclusion in this great rescue plan leading the way toward Jesus. Then you will have the freedom to allow them to worship and do art and write and draw and work, and you can maybe even deliver the feast to them, like I mentioned earlier, so that they have enough time for reflection. And that's about it. Thank you so much. Bye.